G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so good to see you. I do hope that you are super well. Well, let's just jump straight into this super exciting news. If you've been a regular viewer of this channel, you would know over the last few months I have been predicting that Nikon would release new camera bodies in its new financial year. Well, we are now in that new financial year and the rumours and information are starting to flow. Yes, Sony have released a camera called the ZV-E1. The ZV-E1. Here we are, it's the new financial year, and yes, Nikon have a new camera body coming. It's not the Z8, it is the Z1. And we've got a few specs that have leaked out. So let's talk about what we know so far. I think the first and most exciting part about this camera is that it will be a rangefinder camera. And what the rumoured leaks are is it's going to be somewhere between a Z30, a ZFC and a Z6. It's going to be somewhere around all of that. But it's a rangefinder camera. So it doesn't have an EVF, it has a back screen, and it will be a fully flipping articulating screen. But I think the most exciting part about this, not only does it have a similar designation to the Sony ZV-E1, the Z1, but it is also, like the Sony ZV-E1, a full frame camera. It's a full frame 35mm sensor. Now that rocks. What that means, and this is something that I have mused upon in the past, we've got the idea of a very small camera, but with a full frame sensor. Now the Z5 kind of fits in this category, but it is entry level. In US dollars, it is around $1,000 US. This is not where this camera will be aimed. What I'm hearing is Nikon, of course, want to claim some of their territory back. And that includes taking some of it from perhaps Fuji. They make some pretty good rangefinder cameras. But what about taking some of that from Leica as well? So part of what we're hearing here is it's going to be a high megapixel 35mm sensor. Now, of course, you might be across some of the discussions around what might a Z8 be, if and when it ever comes. Does it exist? Who knows? Because it's not here now, we've got the Z1 here now. But as you would know, some of the conversation around the Z8 is it going to be a 45, 46 megapixel sensor, or is it going to be more like the Sony A7R5 and be over 60 megapixels, which strangely enough is what the Leica M11 is. It's also over 60 megapixels. And by the looks of it, Leica are using the same sensor as the Sony A7R5. Now, rumour has it, it's going to be up there somewhere. So are Nikon really trying to push into this rangefinder, Leica, high megapixel, landscape, street photographer sort of camera? Because this camera, of course, will still come with the latest processor, the X-Speed 7. It will come with autofocus. And it will come, I believe, with a mechanical shutter. So it's designed to be a slower camera. It might work at, I think, somewhere between 5 and 10 frames per second. So this is a very interesting and very compelling camera from my perspective. Because if you're just simply interested in high megapixels, you don't need to work fast, and really you might shoot 1 frame every 5 seconds as opposed to requiring 5 frames per second, let alone 10, 20, 30 or more like some cameras. And from the sounds of it, that doesn't sound like a stacked sensor to me, which means it can be more affordable. It's going to be a very small body. It's not going to have an EVF. It is going to have a flippy screen. Now, we don't know pricing at this point in time, but if you want to land somewhere between Fuji and Leica, well, you have to land your pricing in somewhere there as well. And as we know with all of the latest Z glass, well, kind of all the Z glass, which is the latest because it's all new because the system is only 4.5 years old or somewhere in that vicinity, It's all really good stuff. And it is in a position to be able to take on Leica. Now, is it that spectacular? Please don't flame on me in the comments. I haven't done a side-by-side test with Z glass and Leica glass, but what I can tell you is the Z glass is very, very good. It is spectacular. And it would certainly give Leica a run for its money, even if it's not quite as good. Leica is still charging significantly more for what you get. This is super exciting. Let's go through it again. A Nikon Z1 rangefinder camera with a full frame 35mm sensor, which will probably be somewhere between 45 and 61 megapixels. It's not going to be fast, it's not for action or wildlifers, it's not for that bleeding edge of speed. It's for people that just want to go slower and they want it to be smaller, the body to be smaller, because of course there is physics around optics and there are limitations. If you are going to make lenses as optically perfect as possible, then there are some limitations of physics. Now, some companies are working around those limitations of physics by playing electronic tricks, and fine, that is another way to go. So by the sounds of it, we're going to be getting an ultra high quality pocket Z camera with a rangefinder, and you can attach all sorts of lenses to it. I believe you can even adapt Leica lenses to your Z mount. I'm so excited by this camera. I can't wait for this camera. The problem is it's never coming. Well, I don't know whether it's coming or not because April Fools. I'm so sorry, everybody. Yes, this is just a little April Fool's joke. Every now and again, we've got to break up the seriousness of the photography world. We do need to break it up by once a year having a little bit of fun. So my apologies. I don't know anything about this camera. I don't know if it will ever exist. I don't know if Z1 will ever be designated anything. I'm so sorry. We are still awaiting whatever camera is next from Nikon, and I hope it's not too far in the future. But the Z1 is a camera that I do think, as I've described here, is a pretty compelling camera. Imagine having, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 megapixels, full frame, in a very small body, something in the vicinity of, say, a Z5. And it's not super fast, it's designed for landscape, portraiture, street, and all sorts of other things. Basically everything. It's designed for everything except for birding, wildlife, and action. And considering technology is all so good these days, you know, it could probably handle that as well, but it's not designed for it. And then of course you can start to put on some of these smaller optics that we're getting, not only from Nikon, like the 26mm 2.8 and the 40 and the 28 muffin lenses, as they are affectionately called, but we're also getting a lot of lenses from other manufacturers as well. And of course, I'll make a separate video about this at a later date, but video, we're basically working with video cameras these days. That is what these devices are. They are extraordinarily high quality, high speed video cameras. And it's pretty much, I'm sure there's a bit more to it than this. You've got to do a bit more on the inside, but the notion of removing the video component from mirrorless cameras today, there's kind of not much point. The video is there, it exists. We're already getting a live feed from a sensor to an EVF and capturing it as stills, or you can just capture it and string those stills together and you create video. But all the rest of it is already there. Now there might be a few things around heat sinks and battery life, a few minor things, but when people say, I'd prefer to just have a camera with no video so it can be cheaper, I think the realities are that it's not going to be that, it's not going to affect the price that much because you've essentially already got a video camera. So this Z1, this imaginary Z1, would also have video capabilities as well. They just don't need to be the best ones in the world. We perhaps don't need RAW, and we don't need ProRes, and we don't need all that high-end stuff. But in this day and age, we would expect 8-bit and 10-bit video, 4K, and well, as fast as you can get. And of course, my expectation is that most cameras that are going to come out of Nikon will be XP7 moving forwards, so that should be able to handle all that sort of stuff. And that's just going to be the next gen. Anyway, again, my apologies around this being an April Fool's Day gag. Got to do it every now and again, otherwise life is just too serious. Please forgive me. And please let me know. I'll put up a poll and let me know in the comments, would a Z1 be a camera of interest to you? Very small, high megapixels, not super fast, but super high quality. Able to attach everything Z and everything else that Z can adapt, which is a superbly wide array of lenses at this point in time. Okay, and I just have to say a very big and a very quick thank you to my dear friends at Grays of Westminster. My hat's off to you, because they sent me a little care package, so nice, just arrived this week, and I have a gorgeous, look at this, gorgeous pen. How nice is that? Look at this tote bag. I can tote stuff with my Grays tote. Love the blue. Is that a royal blue? But the piece de resistance in this care package is the lovely beanie. Now, I do have a bit of an egghead. Try not to laugh. There it is. So check out the merch. You know, I actually have merch down here as well, the Canacone t-shirts and a whole lot of other stuff. It's worth just looking on those links below if you want a little bit of photography related merch. But if you want some Grays of Westminster merch, check it out. I don't even know if this is merch. I think this is, it must be all merch anyway. Beautiful people, thank you very much. Thank you, Becky and Con, love it. Thanks for my pen, I've already used this. It's got nice action. And we know a nice action with your pen is very important. I got this lovely note. Thank you for my lovely note. And also some stickers. All right, thank you, Grays of Westminster. Can't wait to visit you one day. I think it's going to be next year at this pace. All right. It's been so good to see you. If this is your first time here, I would love to see you again. So please do subscribe and forgive me. Please come back. Please share and please like this video. And I will see you very soon. All right. Take care.